I never expected much for my birthday. At 40 years old, you learn to lower your expectations. A quiet dinner with my wife, Lena, maybe my kids, Emma and Ben, sneaking me a handmade card. I'd be happy with that. But my family had other plans. My parents insisted on throwing me a big birthday party in their backyard. It's not every day you turn 40, my mom, Denise, said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. My dad, Harold, grunted his agreement while scrolling through his phone. They invited everyone, my brother Ryan and his wife, Melissa, my sister Chloe, a dozen cousins, even some neighbors I barely knew. Lena seemed excited about it too. She told me not to worry, that the family wanted to make me feel special. I should have known better. When I arrived that afternoon with Lena and the kids, the backyard was already buzzing. Balloons, banners, laughter floating across the lawn. But none of it felt like it was for me. Ryan was holding court by the grill, beer in hand, bragging about his new promotion. Chloe was telling some story about a disastrous date that had everyone howling with laughter. When people noticed me, the greetings felt obligatory. A quick handshake, a clap on the back, a happy birthday, man, before attention drifted elsewhere. I smiled, nodded, and went through the motions. Then my mom came over, grinning like she'd been holding in a secret. "We have something for you, Nathan. You'll love it." She pulled out a cheap plastic crown. It was gold with glitter peeling off the edges. Across the front, in thick black marker, someone had scrawled, "King of Letdowns." She placed it on my head with a flourish. The backyard erupted in laughter. "Perfect fit," Chloe shouted, snapping pictures with her phone. Ryan doubled over, slapping his knee. "Finally, we found the right crown for you, Nate." Even Lena laughed. Not a nervous, trying to fit in laugh. A full, genuine laugh. I stood there, crown digging into my scalp, every chuckle piercing deeper than the last. I forced a grin, tried to chuckle along. My throat was dry. "Come on, smile, birthday boy," my mom said, snapping a photo. Everyone laughed harder. I told myself it was a joke. Just a harmless joke. But inside, something cracked. After the crown, I thought maybe the humiliation would end. It didn't. When the grill started smoking, guess who got shoved in front of it? Me. Ryan slapped a spatula into my hand. "King of Letdowns, show us you can at least handle burgers." So there I was, sweating over the grill, flipping patties, while everyone else sipped drinks and lounged in chairs. When food was ready, I served plates, refilled drinks, cleared trash. Nobody lifted a finger to help. Not even Lena. "Get one with the birthday boy," someone shouted during photos. But in every group picture, I was behind the camera. Later, when the cake came out, they handed me the knife. "Cut it evenly, Nathan. Don't let us down." More laughter. I cut the cake in silence, jaw tight. The worst moment didn't come from the crown, or the grilling, or the cake. It came from my daughter. Emma, my sweet 10-year-old, tugged my sleeve while I was cleaning up plates. Her eyes were wide, innocent, confused. "Daddy," she whispered, "why do they call you that?" A letdown. I froze. She looked up at me, waiting for an answer. I could hear Lena laughing across the yard with Chloe, could hear Ryan telling another story, could hear the echo of King of Letdowns ringing in my skull. I knelt down, forced a smile, and kissed her forehead. "It's just a joke, sweetheart." "But it's not funny," she said softly. "I don't like it." Her little brother, Ben, just 5, nodded solemnly. "You're not a letdown, Daddy." I hugged them both, swallowing the lump in my throat. "Thank you," I whispered. "That means everything." But inside, the crack widened into something deeper. As the sun set, I kept pretending. Pretending to laugh. Pretending to be okay. Pretending the crown didn't feel like a brand burned into my skin. Lena leaned in at one point, glass of wine in hand, and whispered, "Don't be so serious. It's just family teasing." I wanted to ask her why she thought it was funny, why she laughed with them, why she didn't stop it. But I said nothing. Because what would have been the point? When the night ended, everyone clapped me on the back again. "Great party, Nate. Thanks for the food, man. See you around. King of Letdowns." I smiled. I nodded. I packed my kids into the car. That night, when Lena fell asleep beside me, I sat in the dark living room with a beer in hand, the cheap crown sitting on the coffee table. I stared at it for a long time. 40 years old. A lifetime of being the butt of the joke. The quiet one. The safe one. The one who never got angry, who always showed up, who always paid the bill. The invisible one. I thought about Emma's question. Why do they call you that, Daddy? And I realized I didn't have an answer. Not one that wouldn't break her heart. But I knew something else in that moment. I was done. I didn't shout. I didn't smash the crown or storm into the bedroom. I just sat there, calm, almost eerily calm, as the thought settled into my bones. I was done being their joke. Done being their shadow. Done being their letdown. When I finally went to bed, I placed the crown gently in my nightstand drawer. Not as a keepsake, but as a reminder. A reminder of the night everything changed. I lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, planning without even realizing it. They thought I'd laugh it off like always. That I'd keep grilling, keep smiling, keep paying. But they didn't know. They didn't know that something inside me had shifted. They didn't know I was already thinking about what came next. And they had no idea that the man they mocked as a letdown would soon become the one thing they could never forget. 2 days after the party, I booked the ticket. One way. Not impulsively, not in anger, but in the same calm way you decide to finally get a cavity filled after months of pain. I sat at my laptop, credit card in hand, and scrolled through flights to Portland. A city far enough from home to feel like another world, but not so far I'd be completely unreachable. I picked a date 2 weeks away. Enough time to prepare. Enough time to make sure when I left, I wouldn't have to come crawling back. In the days that followed, I played my part. I went to work at the auto shop, fixing engines, checking brakes, changing oil. I kissed Lena on the cheek in the mornings, listened to her complain about bills or Chloe's drama or Ryan's latest brag. I helped Emma with her math homework and read Ben a bedtime story about pirates. But inside, I was already gone. Every laugh, every word, every chore felt distant. It was like I was watching my own life from the outside, preparing to step off stage and let the curtain fall. I started writing a letter. Not an apology. Not even really an explanation. Just clarity. You called me the king of letdowns. You laughed. But the truth is, I let myself down by staying silent all these years. By letting you treat me like a ghost, like a servant, like a joke. I won't do it anymore. I wrote about the years of sacrifices, how I worked overtime to pay for Ryan's loan when Dad pressured me into helping family. How I sold my guitar, the one thing I loved, to cover Lena's credit card debt. How I drove Chloe to job interviews, fixed Mom's leaking pipes, hosted every barbecue, and never once asked for thanks. And how none of it mattered. Because to them, I was just Nathan, the quiet one, the dependable one, the letdown. The note wasn't angry. It was cold, precise, like a verdict. I folded it, sealed it, and slipped it into my nightstand beside the crown. As the departure date crept closer, I started watching. Really watching. I noticed how Lena left her dirty wine glasses in the sink for me to scrub. How my mom called not to check on me, but to ask if I could lend Ryan a little more for his truck payments. How Chloe invited Lena to lunch, but didn't bother asking me. I noticed the way everyone assumed I'd be there. At every dinner, every birthday, every holiday, like a piece of furniture. The couch doesn't complain when you sit on it. The fridge doesn't ask for thanks when it keeps your food cold. That's what I was to them. And I realized the only way to make them see me was to disappear. I tested it out. One evening, I didn't clean up after dinner. I just went upstairs, shut the bedroom door, and let the dishes sit in the sink. When I came down the next morning, Lena was clattering plates into the dishwasher, muttering under her breath. Unbelievable. Can't even bother to help one night. She didn't ask if I was okay. Didn't notice the shift. The next week, I skipped Ryan's barbecue. I told him work had run late. He called me later, drunk and annoyed. Man, you missed a good one. We were counting on you to grill. Counting on me. Not to enjoy the party. To work it. I hung up and marked another tally in my mind. Every absence of mine would become louder. Emma noticed first. Daddy, she asked one night as I tucked her in, why don't you smile as much anymore? I smoothed her hair back and forced a smile. I'm just tired, sweetheart. She frowned. Is it because of the crown? I swallowed hard. No, not just that. She hugged me tight. You're not a letdown. You're my hero. Ben, barely awake, mumbled from his bed across the room. Yeah, Daddy's a hero pirate. Their words cut deeper than any crown ever could. I almost faltered, almost tore up the ticket. But then I remembered Lena's laughter, my mother's smirk, Ryan's jeers. And I knew, if I stayed, my kids would grow up thinking this was normal, that it was okay for their father to be disrespected. No, better to leave and let them learn the truth in my absence. The morning I left, the sky was still dark. I packed a single suitcase, clothes, some cash I'd saved, the note, and the crown. I left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter. Beside it, the folded letter. The dog, Max, whined as I clipped his leash to the neighbor's fence. I scratched his head, whispered, "Take care of them for me, buddy," and forced myself to walk away. My heart pounded with every step, but I didn't look back. At the airport, I boarded the plane, sank into the seat, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Relief. 2 days later, Lena called me. "Where the hell are you, Nathan?" Her voice was sharp, frantic. "The kids are asking for you. My mom's asking. Your parents keep blowing up my phone. This isn't funny." I didn't answer. I listened, then hung up. The calls kept coming. Dozens, then hundreds. Mom's tearful voicemails. Dad's angry rants. Ryan's confused messages, pretending to care but slipping in. "By the way, I need that money for the truck." Chloe texted, "Nathan, this isn't you. Come home, okay?" But they didn't get it. This was me. For the first time, this was me. A week after I left, I opened Facebook. I wasn't going to log in, but curiosity got the better of me. The first thing I saw was a post from Emma. "If anyone sees my dad, please tell him we're sorry. Please tell him we love him. Please tell him to come home." My chest tightened. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, but I didn't type a word. Then I saw Lena's posts, long rants about being abandoned, about how selfish I was. No apology, no reflection, just anger that I'd left her to deal with everything. Mom posted pictures of my empty chair at Sunday dinner. Dad commented, "Always was unreliable." But the comments from cousins, neighbors, even friends, they were different. "Wait, Nathan's gone. He was always the one helping everyone. Your dad's the one who fixed my car when Ryan said he couldn't. I don't know why you all called him a letdown. He was the only reliable one." And just like that, the story started to turn. From a small apartment in Portland, I watched it all unravel. Ryan's wife posted a photo of their repossessed truck, captioned, "Thanks a lot, Nate." Chloe complained on Instagram about picking up the slack because Dad wouldn't. Even Lena slipped in a dig during a live video. "He left me with everything. Kids, bills, the house." Typical Nathan. But the comments weren't what she expected. People weren't siding with her. They were asking questions, pointing out inconsistencies, calling out the cruelty. The tide was shifting, and for the first time in my life, they were the ones being laughed at. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to confront them. All I had to do was leave. My absence was louder than any words I could have spoken. They wanted me invisible, so I vanished. And now, in the silence I left behind, they were finally starting to see me, not as the king of letdowns, but as the man who held everything together. And the longer I stayed gone, the more they'd realized just how much they'd lost. 2 weeks after I disappeared, the messages stopped being angry. At first, Lena's voicemails had been venom. "You can't just walk out on your family. Real men don't run. You're destroying Emma and Ben's lives." But slowly, the sharpness softened into desperation. "Please, Nathan, I can't do this alone. The kids miss you. I miss you." By then, though, I'd already decided I wasn't going back. Not in the way they wanted. Through social media and whispers from mutual friends, I watched the collapse unfold. Ryan's finances imploded without my loans. His shiny new truck was repossessed, his wife Melissa posting bitter rants about fake family loyalty. Chloe lost her job after missing shifts, because without me there to drive her or lend her gas money, she had no backup. Her Instagram captions turned from bubbly selfies to cryptic quotes about betrayal. My parents tried to host Sunday dinners without me. Photos showed bare tables, fewer guests, and smiles that looked more forced each week. The comments under those pictures stung them more than anything. "Where's Nathan? It's not the same without him. Didn't he used to do all the cooking?" Even Lena wasn't spared. Neighbors whispered about how she laughed at me during my birthday. Emma's teacher reportedly told her, "Your dad is a good man. Don't believe everything you hear." The mask was slipping, and for the first time, my family was the punchline. It happened on a Thursday. Lena called me again, but instead of her voice, I heard Emma's, shaky and small. "Daddy, we found your letter." My chest tightened. I'd left it for Lena, but apparently, Emma had found it first. "I read it," she whispered. "I didn't tell Ben yet. I didn't want him to feel sad. But, Daddy, is it true that they treated you like that?" I didn't answer. My throat burned. "Daddy," she continued, voice breaking, "I'm sorry I laughed when they put the crown on you. I thought I had to laugh too. I didn't know it hurt you that bad." Tears blurred my vision. My 10-year-old understood more than the adults ever did. "You don't have to come home," she said quietly. "But please don't forget about me and Ben. We don't think you're a letdown." When she hung up, I sat in silence for a long time. The letter, meant to expose the truth to adults who never cared, had landed in the hands of the only ones who truly mattered. And somehow, that felt right. 2 months later, I agreed to one meeting. Not a reunion, not a return, a reckoning. My mom begged me to come to a family dinner to talk things out. Lena promised it would be different this time. Ryan swore he just wanted to clear the air. So I said yes. I didn't tell them I'd already sent copies of my letter and screenshots of years of messages to extended family and close friends. They all knew the truth now. This dinner wasn't about me explaining anymore. It was about them facing what they'd done. When I walked into my parents' house, the air was heavy. No balloons, no laughter, just tense silence. Lena sat stiffly at the table, eyes puffy from crying. My parents looked older than I remembered. Ryan avoided my gaze, fiddling with his beer bottle. Chloe bit her nails, her usual smirk nowhere to be found. Emma and Ben ran to hug me. That was the only warmth in the room. "Thank you for coming, Nate," Mom said finally, voice trembling. We want to talk." "Talk," I repeated, sitting down. "All right, let's talk." It started with excuses. "We didn't mean the crown like that. You know family teases. You could have just told us if you were upset." I let them speak. I didn't interrupt. When they ran out of excuses, I placed the crown on the table. The glitter still clung to it, mocking and cheap. "This," I said quietly, "wasn't teasing. It was humiliation. And it wasn't the first time." I listed everything. Every time I paid their debts. Every holiday, I worked the grill while they lounged. Every loan. Every ignored birthday of mine. Every time my help was expected but my presence dismissed. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. My calm voice cut sharper than any scream. "You didn't see me. Not once. Not until I was gone." No one spoke. Ryan looked furious, but he didn't dare argue. Chloe's eyes brimmed with tears. My mom covered her face with her hands. Lena whispered, "Nathan, I'm sorry. I should have stood up for you. I see that now." I believed her tears. But apologies 2 decades late don't erase scars. "I'm not here for revenge," I said finally. "I'm here so you understand. I'm not coming back. Not like before. I won't be your servant, your wallet, or your joke." I stood, kissed Emma and Ben on their heads, and walked toward the door. Ryan muttered something. Maybe an insult, maybe a plea. I didn't bother listening. When I stepped outside, I felt lighter. In the weeks that followed, I kept my distance. I called Emma and Ben, sent them letters, promised visits that belonged just to us. They were my tether, my reason, my proof that I wasn't a letdown. As for the rest of them, Lena, my parents, Ryan, Chloe, my silence was the sharpest blade. They had to cook their own meals now, pay their own bills, fix their own mistakes. They had to explain to friends, to neighbors, why Nathan, the dependable ghost, wasn't around anymore. And every time someone asked, "Where's Nathan?" he was the good one. They had to swallow the truth like glass. Months later, on my birthday, a package arrived at my Portland apartment. Inside was the crown. The words "King of Letdowns" had been crossed out. Beneath, in shaky handwriting, Emma had written, "Our hero." I held it in my hands, tears burning my eyes. For the first time in years, I felt seen. And I realized that revenge wasn't about making them suffer. It wasn't about payback. It was about taking my dignity back. About stepping out of the shadows. About proving, if only to myself, that I was never the letdown. I was the one holding everything together. And now, finally, I was free.